Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for round 5 of 5 here from beautiful Centerville, Ohio at Epic Loot Games. Check them out, epiclootgames.com. 46 players tonight.
46. That's a good number for an FNM.
That is a solid FNM. We are in the very final round. This is table 3. Tables 1 and 2 could ID into prizes. This is table 3. Dyer is 3-0-1, an unintentional draw. Derek Rodriguez is 3-1, so they will have to play it out because the double loss knocks Derek into pity pack range.
And, I'm not 100% sure what these guys are on. I've talked to Derek quite a bit, and I actually played against him a couple weeks ago, and I know he is on Mardu, Creatureless Mardu. We'll go ahead and just call
Mardu
it Creatureless.
Control, kind of. Thought he should be pretty good against that.
He's running a lot of Planeswalkers. I know he's running the draw 2, lose 2, scry 2.
Read the bones.
Read the bones, yes. He's playing read the bones. So he's got a little bit of a way to shape his hand and kind of, once he gets that going on turn 3, he can kind of set up his turn 4 and turn 5 plays.
Looks like we saw 2 Sarkhan, a Lightning Strike, and we lost the Sarkhan to the Thoughtseize. I want to remind everybody that's watching, we are Dayton Magic Club. I'm Ryan Johnson in the booth with Mr.
Robert Holt.
And we hope you guys are enjoying the broadcast. We're having a pretty good time up here in the booth. Always a good time here at Epic Loot.
Always a good time in the booth.
Absolutely.
The standard metagame is shaping up to be an interesting one.
I agree. We've seen a lot of cool stuff tonight.
Yes, we have. Whip of Erebos doing some serious work.
We did, in fact, see that. If you didn't catch that, I would definitely check it out when our archives go live, because that was a really sweet one. That is a, what's it called? Help me out, Jacob. Jacob, by the way, a Bloodsoak champion. Jacob Ross, by the way, we haven't really called him out at all tonight. He is our operator tonight, as most nights. He is running the rig that keeps this broadcast live. He is updating our live totals. He's the one telling us when we can't quite make out what one of these new cards is. So we want to thank him. Couldn't do it without him.
Now, I know for a fact, Derek, even though we see a Sarkhan in the bin there, that he's got 3 additional 1s in his deck. So he's running a full boat on Sarkhan. And as you said earlier, he's actually running a 5th Sarkhan.
Yep. And Zergo Helm Smasher.
That is Derek's 5th Sarkhan.
That is a Mardu Charm being used as the instant speed duress. So we have Mardu aggro, or a more aggro build, versus the control build.
And this is probably the mode on Mardu Charm that you're not going to see as often as the 4 damage to a creature or making 2/1/1 first striking token.
I agree.
So,
but nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely put to good use here against a Planeswalker / control deck.
Now, Derek's, it's interesting, this Mardu control concept, because really in most of the control decks that people have been experimenting with, and I know I've been experimenting with them a little bit myself, the blue is like the worst color.
Yeah. You're using blue basically dig through time.
Yeah.
And like, maybe Treasure Cruise if you want to go that route.
I mean, some of the counter spells out of the board are okay, and like Dissolve is like okay, but it's nothing really exciting if everyone's just playing to the board. If everyone's just playing creatures, you're not having to fight on the stack at all. Then the things that blue's traditionally good at aren't necessary, and blue's not very good at winning these on-board fights.
And if you can get some of the additional, or some of the similar card advantage out of Read the Bones that you can dig through time, then why do you need blue?
Yep.
So maybe
just all the best 3 removal spell colors. So we saw this is a Brimaz. Haven't seen him tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
Underrepresented at the Pro Tour as well. No copies in the top 8.
Yeah, Brimaz has been a little underrepresented in the format lately, and you gotta wonder, some of the decks that could run Brimaz might just go Mantis Rider or Rabble Master instead. And,
absolutely.
It presents a little bit more of a threat without giving your opponent much time to respond.
Absolutely, just a little bit faster, I think, is the appeal. That was a Crackling Doom, a card we've seen do some work under camera, taking out Brimaz. Crackling Doom, a cool Magic card.
Very cool. Very cool.
But Bloodsoak champion, as we've seen before tonight, go in the distance here. Of course, Derek could have an utter end for it somewhere down the road, or something like that. There's another
Mardu
champion.
v. Mardu.
Yep. Bloodsoak Champion versus Zergo Helm Smasher.
Yeah, we got the on the right with Derek's deck. We got a little bit more of an aggressive Mardu. Yeah, I don't know how aggressive he's going, but seeing Bloodsoak Champion into Bremaz,
yep,
he's playing definitely a lower curve than Derek's 5 Sarkin
yep,
deck with him. I believe he's running Elspeth as well.
I think so as well. Yeah.
So definitely seeing the range that Mardu has.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
Both of these players,
and he has had enough. Double lightning strike.
You know, as much as I like that play there, I know for a fact that Derek is running Anger of the Gods main, and I'm wondering if it would have been
jumped the gun a little early, maybe.
And, you know, he's a little bit under some pressure. 4 damage a turn is a lot to take.
You know, he wants to, like, another. If you're worried about Derek Rodriguez there playing potentially Stoke the Flames or
that's a
something like that, just trying to, you know.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I believe Derek has a Mardu Charm in hand.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe just making a couple tokens and you know, blocking those Bloodsoak Champions and buying yourself another turn to potentially
For example,
see Anger of the Gods.
Yeah. Rabblemaster could be dangerous here if Derek maybe overspent on his removal spells.
Yeah, and as we can see, Derek has an additional 2 lands floating, whereas he goes to swing with that Rabblemaster token as he enters combat. If he gets that far, he can bring a champion back from his graveyard.
He will not get that far.
He will not get that far.
Now, something that interests me is Derek Rodriguez playing perhaps one of the Mardu token strategies we've seen float around. I mean, Brimaz, Rabblemaster, these are token-producing creatures.
I guarantee you he's going all in on Butcher of the Horde if we've seen Brimaz and Rabblemaster. Yeah. There's got to be a playset, at least 3, I would say, Butchers in this list from Derek Rodriguez. I don't think there's any trouble that you're going to with running Rabblemaster, Brimaz, and Bloodsoak Champion. Yeah. Butcher's just a freebie at that point.
Derek appears to be out of gas at the moment. No play this turn. Now, that could mean, he could very much have a ton of removal spells.
My guess from Derek Rodriguez is maybe he's going to flash in a couple tokens off the Mardu Charm and bring back his 2 champions.
Yeah, that seems like a strong play.
And if he's on the token strategy, you might actually see a Raise the Alarm here. No. Looks like we're just going to go back to the draw step. And I'm guessing he's got, 3 cards in hand? What he's shoveling?
No, one of them was definitely a land.
It's interesting the way he's got his land stacked up over there. It kind of looks like an Exile stack or an additional graveyard sitting over there off to the left. But it's an interesting way to stack the lands up.
So Derek Dyer under no pressure here.
And he's
going for Elspeth.
Never a bad play. We're probably going to see a Hero's Downfall from Derek at this point.
Sure.
Or an Utter End. Either one. I would guess Hero's Downfall maybe the double black might hurt with Bremaz in the deck, so it might be Utter End.
You certainly can't play around either of those cards, so no reason not to just jam it over here.
He is going off the top of the deck there. So it looks like we're probably going to see another land drop from him.
There's the Downfall. And that's it. No Bioblight or anything to clean up the tokens.
No, we still have 2 Bloodsoak Champions in the graveyard, which could come back and do some work later on in the game.
Sure.
Given the fact that Derek Dyer's at 9 life.
Absolutely.
Those Bloodsoak Champions are just a couple swings away from actually lethal if he can clean up those Elspeth tokens.
Going down to 7.
Now that's actually he's got a 2-turn clock if he can get those Bloodsoak Champions back in play.
Absolutely.
So.
And Derek Dyer certainly has to respect the possibility of a hasty Butcher off the top. Scryland didn't like what we see.
I want to see a Mardu Charm or Raise the Alarm from Derek Rodriguez here. I want to see those Bloodsoak Champions come back in. Just present the threat.
Have we ever actually seen tonight a Bloodsoak Champion get raided back into play? I don't think we have.
No, I think we've had a couple options or a couple possibilities for it. I just didn't think it came up.
Yeah.
So we haven't gotten to see the interaction between Bloodsoak Champion and Butcher at this point.
There's a Rabblemaster.
And if we get the Rabblemaster token and into combat, we are going to see a Bloodsoak Champion potentially come back into play.
Derek doing a really good job, or Derek Dyer doing a really good job of containing.
6 life, though. I'd be a little wary of being at 6 life against a Mardu deck, being able to present a Lightning Strike and Stoke the Flames to seal the deal.
Absolutely. Very much so.
It's potential, though, that Derek just drops a Sorin on his next turn and gets 6 more life out of those tokens.
And gets, well, I would say, pretty comfortably out of range.
Yeah. Being at 12, it's going to be hard for Derek Rodriguez to put up lethal at 12 life. Given the board state, that is.
Yes.
So.
We get in for 3.
I'm still just hoping we see an instant speed token generator here, and then maybe a Wingmate Rock or a couple Bloodsoak champions come back. So there's the Bioblight.
That's going to resolve. No counter spells in this deck. So Derek's first attempt at closing the game out has been shut down with a Hero's Downfall and a Bioblight.
Derek Dyer at 6 and Derek Rodriguez at 10. Yep. Derek Rodriguez still in decent shape here.
Absolutely.
Just need to find a way to attack.
There's a Butcher of the Horde. No tokens to give it haste.
No tokens to give it haste, but if it survives one turn, he's going to have some serious pressure to apply to Derek
absolutely.
Dyer.
If he can attack with it and get those tokens back, we start getting a life-linking Butcher of the Horde every turn, and that could be...
Oh, he could do lifelink and vigilance, I believe, out of... Well, not at the point of attacking.
No, but no, but not going to get the opportunity.
Nope. Derek Dyer looking through his graveyard.
That's got to mean only a handful of things, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's running Murderous Cuts. Oh, no, empty the pits. There we go. So he counted his graveyard to look to see how many cards he can delve and how many zombie tokens he can make off Empty the Pits. And Derek Rodriguez might be second-guessing his option to use Bioblight as soon as he did.
Sure.
So, now granted, he didn't have a whole lot of other options facing down 3 Sorin tokens, aside from maybe waiting a turn or 2. But now he's facing down, it looks like 6 Empty the Pits tokens, and followed it up with another Bioblight.
Yep.
So... Derek Rodriguez doing a good job of keeping Derek Dyer off of his...
Absolutely. That's 2 victory conditions we've seen from Derek Dyer's control deck.
And we're probably not going to see another Empty the Pits.
No, I believe I've spoken to him earlier tonight, and he said he was playing 1.
There's another Bloodsoak champion, which is actually a good deal for Derek Rodriguez. It gives him the ability to bring back the other 2.
Absolutely, and that is really dangerous to Derek Dyer, who is at 6 life.
Yes.
That's a magic number.
So, but Bloodsoak Champion, a great magic card. You know, it's got all the same capabilities of Gravecrawler without having the reliability of being in relying on tribal synergy.
Absolutely.
You just the only thing you have to do is be able to get a creature to its attack step, and you get that raid trigger.
Which Derek Dyer's done a good job of preventing.
He has
so
done a great
far.
Done a great job.
Utter End would be a pretty nice one to have. Were you Derek Dyer right now? But
Derek Dyer looks like he's got about 2 cards left in his hand.
One of them is what appears to be maybe the last Hero's Downfall.
A little bit hard to tell with the way he's
shuffling his hands. Yeah.
And Derek Rodriguez looks like he has 3 cards left in his hand, all face down.
All right, so we are going to get back our other 2 Bloodsoak champions. No.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing it after combat, obviously.
Yep.
So now Derek Dyer facing down 3 Bloodsoak champions, potentially Anger of the Gods, and that's going to clean up the Bloodsoak champions
and
permanently.
That's the end of those 3 Bloodsoak champions. That was a...
well timed.
Yes.
Well timed. And he's casting a card I'm not 100% familiar with at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's Liliana of the Veil, or Liliana of Vess. It's a...
Promo Lily of the
Promo
Vess.
Lily.
Okay.
And again, like we were saying earlier, she's not the flashiest planeswalker around, but right now, very good.
Yeah, we've seen her pop up a few times tonight, and you know, we saw it last round where she hit the board, and essentially the only thing she did was tutor up End Hostilities, which was you know, pretty good. It still didn't get there, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
And we saw her a little bit earlier tonight doing a similar thing.
So if you're Derek Dyer here, what card are you searching for on an empty board? Are you looking for Elspeth or are you looking for Sarkhan?
I would say if I'm Derek Dyer, I'm probably just going to go Elspeth. I think if you go Sarkhan, you open yourself up to, you know, an Utter End, essentially.
It's a faster clock.
It's putting all your eggs in one basket.
I agree.
Yeah, if you go with Elspeth, you make 3 tokens. He could have another Bioblight. Great, the tokens are gone, but I still have an Elspeth. So
of course, if Derek Rodriguez doesn't have an answer to this Liliana Vess, it's both. You know, you can get 2 victory conditions with it, and that'll probably be enough to put this game away with as resource light as both players are.
Thoughtseize not going to do a whole lot of work there. The card that Derek cares about is on top of his library.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's see what Derek got here. I'm
thinking Elspeth.
I'm thinking Elspeth, yeah, or maybe
Sorin,
or maybe Sarkhan number 5.
Maybe Zurgo.
Maybe Zurgo. Maybe he may just
Zurgo is a very fast clock here.
Let's just go ahead and clean the game up. So.
Yep. Nope,
Elspeth.
That's the safest bet for sure.
Yep.
I like that as the first target, and then Liliana can always get you a backup.
Now Zergo here would be pretty good.
I agree.
Pumping your
Soren
tokens.
would be good here to pump the tokens.
Soren would be great. Soren would be fantastic.
I like Soren a lot here, actually. It synergizes well with Elspeth while also being a good backup if he has an answer to Elspeth.
Or do you just go get another Elspeth?
Yeah.
Like, is Elspeth good enough to just go grab a second one
I think
here?
that's defensible.
Play the first one out, and if the first one bites the dust for some reason, just go grab another one.
Can you answer 3 Elspeths this game? Like, not many decks can. We've already seen 2 Bile Blights go
Ultimate
down.
1 Elspeth, cast a second one.
Yep. So that is certainly an option as well. So, Crackling Doom? Yep. Not getting much better. I can see pulling.
Yeah, at that point, Crackling Doom's
Well, it's a 2 damage burn spell.
Yeah, you got Derek down to 2, and all Derek Rodriguez has to do is top deck a burn spell.
Which we might see here. Crackling Doom
Crackling
number
Doom
2.
for the win.
For the win.
Wow, came back from his on his heels there with the Elspeth, the Liliana and the Elspeth, potentially getting another Elspeth, and Derek just kind of maybe needed to pull something to pull himself out of that life total range he was in. And
I agree.
I'm not sure that he has anything that he could have gotten initially. Pulling a Soren with the second Liliana Vest activation would have definitely
very
done it.
tempting. Yeah. So he was definitely in range. Definitely I knew he was at a dangerous life total.
So I believe we just saw double Crackling Doom for the win.
Yep, we actually did in fact see that, and a ton of Bile Blights.
Yeah.
So you're Derek Dyer. Looking at what happened that game, you're playing against an opponent with a ton of burn spells, ton of removal.
A lot of good, cheap creatures. I mean, we saw Bloodsoaked Champion, we saw Brimaz, we saw Rabblemaster, and we saw Butcher. So he's carving out into Butcher, and he's got a very good possibility of just going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Actually, I'm not sure what the 2 drop in that case would be, but regardless, he's got a good curve on Derek Rodriguez' side of the table, and Derek Dyer is just kind of playing catch up at that point.
Agreed.
He's got to keep his removal spells flowing. He's got to keep the disruption flowing. And he's got to draw some sweepers, and actually that's a good position for Derek Rodriguez to be in, running Brimaz in this case, gets around Derek Dyer's main sweeper.
Anger the Gods, absolutely. So. We do want to thank all of you for watching. We have 22 concurrent viewers right now, which we really like to see. We do encourage you to keep checking us out. We will be doing this about every week, every 2 weeks, pretty consistently, and we're always striving to improve.
And for those of you that just tuned in, this is Robert Holt and
I'm Ryan Johnson, Dayton Magic Club.
Dayton Magic Club. We're on round 5 of 5 here at a 46-player FNM at Epic Loot in Centerville, Ohio.
So, Derek, they're both boarding quite a few cards.
Yeah, and so if you're Derek Dyer, you got to know at this point that you're the control player in this matchup.
Absolutely.
Both players are Mardu. Derek Rodriguez is definitely on the more aggressive side of it. So Derek Dyer, as a control player, what do you think he's boarding in here? I'm thinking in hostilities, maxed out.
Maxing out the sweepers. If you're not playing 4 Anger of the Gods in the main and you have more Angers of the God, you're definitely you're boarding up as many as you can get. Bloodsoaked Champion was a real headache that game. Your Planeswalkers aren't safe necessarily.
No, not from Hero's Downfall.
You don't have counter magic to protect them like a traditional blue-based control deck would. Could wait till they have 8-9 mana.
He's probably going to bring in, or he probably has access to, I would say, anywhere between 2 and potentially all the way up to 4. Read the Bones. I think 4 would probably be a little heavy.
Yeah.
And as good a card as that is, it's still not going to help with the aggressive starts that Derek Rodriguez can get given the 2 mana or the 2 life loss.
Do you think that Derek possibly has Nyx Fleece Ram in his board? And if he let's say if he did, would you bring it in here?
See, that's the problem with running a creatureless deck like this is that, so on one hand you have, okay, I bring in Nyx Fleece Ram, but now it's a lightning rod for any removal my opponent has.
Sure.
I don't bring in Nyx Fleece Ram, and I keep my opponent's removal spells from doing anything relevant. Now, granted, Derek Rodriguez's deck is going to be built to have his removal spells consisting of Burn,
yep,
Mardu Charm,
yep,
and Utterance Hero's Downfalls,
which are already good.
Yeah, so those cards don't really care if Derek has creatures. They're going to shoot Planeswalkers, and Mardu Charm can make some tokens.
So I would say, if I were Derek Dyer, the card would look attractive if I had access to it, because if it gets Heroes Downfall, then my Elspeth isn't getting Heroes Downfall.
Right.
And you're forcing your opponent to use a 3-mana removal spell to kill a 2-mana creature. So trading your turn 2 for their turn 3 is never a bad tempo play.
I've seen this out of Derek's deck before, just given some familiarity I have with his list. I actually think we're going to see Circle of Flame.
I'd love to see Circle of Flame.
It shuts down Rabblemaster tokens, it shuts down Bremoth tokens, and it just puts a complete halt to anything Bloodsoaked Champion can do relevant.
I like that quite a bit here.
And he can actually catch Derek Rodriguez off guard if Derek Rodriguez swings into Circle of Flame with Bremoth, and then Lightning Strike or Bioblight to Bremoth.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's going to be a very powerful card.
I think that's what we're going to see from Derek Dyer as a sideboard strategy.
His preferred anti.
Now, the one thing we need to see from Derek is some sort of life gain.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be crucial this final or this game.
Absolutely, and that's where I think that Nyx Ram is appealing. Maybe not necessarily the most powerful card, but certainly good at buying time.
If not dealt with early,
these nickel and dime decks that are full of 2 and 3 drops, or 2 and 3 power creatures, I should say.
Now, do you think Derek Rodriguez probably sided out his Crackling Dooms at this point?
I would.
Yeah. They're good for 2 damage.
You can't be sure that he doesn't have some sort of creature in here, but we didn't see any indication that Derek Dyer was playing any of the traditional Mardu creatures.
Right. Now, Crackling Doom does do a good job of taking care of Sarkhan, even though we didn't see Sark. Well, we actually saw it get Thoughtseized out in the first game. So he might have left Crackling Doom in there just to deal with Sarkhan. But
that's possible.
Again, he's got additional options to take care of Sarkhan.
Derek Dyer have any Last Breaths?
Potentially.
Last Breath would be a good one here, too, I think. It answers Rabblemaster and Bloodsoaked Champion very effectively.
So we see a turn 1 Despise, and Despise is looking at a Sorin, a Sarkhan, and then 3 cards he can't get, being a Temple of Malice, Caves of Quellos, and Hero's Downfall.
We're taking the Sorin. I like that.
Yeah,
Sorin comes down earlier,
yeah,
and it potentially gains life,
yeah,
both of which you don't want to see.
Right. You can deal with Sarkhan a little bit later, and even if Sarkhan does hit the board, it's probably not as devastating if you're the aggro deck, just because you want to hit their life total harder.
And also, 1 Hero's Downfall answers. Yeah, there we go. There's an Nyx Ram. I like that quite a bit here.
The sheep is out.
1 Hero's Downfall answers Sarkhan.
Yep.
Sorin leaves behind a 2/2. They can be disruptive to your game plan. So.
Yep.
Nyx Ram is going to do its job here. Every turn it sticks around is just 1 more point of damage. I mean, if Derek had gained 1 life that last game, I think he would have won it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Derek was definitely in a good position with that Elspeth and Liliana the Vest to set up for the final win. He just happened to be at 4 life and got double Crackling Doom.
Yep. 1 point of life.
I got a feeling that Derek's probably going to be able to outpace Derek Rodriguez at this game, just because. He's got the Nyx Ram. He's playing the control deck, and we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen a relevant threat come out from Derek Rodriguez, even on turn 3.
That can be the danger when you're sideboarding, when you're the aggro player, is you can overboard and disrupt. I'm not saying he did necessarily, but the temptation can be there to bring in more answers and then disrupt your amount of threats that you have. And your answers you're never going to be able to out-control the deck playing Anger the Gods and Elspeth.
4 lands, probably going to see a Butcher. And I would be very surprised if Derek Dyer did not have an immediate answer to Butcher.
Well, actually, we knew there was a Hero's Downfall.
That's true, yes.
Derek Rodriguez ran that out into that Hero's Downfall. You can't play around Hero's Downfall. Sometimes you just have to jam into it and then deploy another threat.
Yeah, and there was Chandra,
which we did not know necessarily that he had access to.
Aside from Read the Bones, that's going to be another constant source of card advantage for Derek Dyer.
And a really good way to keep Bloodsoaked Champions under control.
Yep.
They can't attack through the Nyx Ram, and you can keep them under control so they can't swarm around it.
Yep.
I like Chandra quite a bit. They can't block, not super relevant, but
if we could just find a way to give that sheep, +1/+0,
just a little bit,
just an upstart chipping away at his life total.
Sorin.
Yeah, Sorin would do a good job on this on the Nyx Ram. Start getting some damage in there.
Yeah, this game is rapidly getting out of reach for Derek Rodriguez if he doesn't start deploying some threats and very soon.
I mean, if his only option in the first 4 turns of the game was to run a Butcher straight into a Hero's Downfall that he knew about. I got to say that he's not packing a whole lot of heat in his hand.
Nope. Elspeth, or not Elspeth, Chandra reveals a Hero's Downfall, which has no target, so it would just be exiled, which is not a great card. You don't necessarily want to see that card get thrown away like that, but...
You know, if Derek Rodriguez had anything relevant on the board, that would have been a great flip from Chandra. But in this case, you know, Derek doesn't have anything. You know, there's worse problems to have.
Yes.
There's worse problems to have.
So now we have Sarkin. He is going to serve in.
And I would imagine he's going to get immediately met with... No. We're going to go ahead.
I thought I saw Hero's Downfall on Derek.
I thought I did too, and he might have missed the trigger. He might have just let it, or the activation. He might have just let the activation happen and forgot about doing it in response. So
yeah, you can't let it get into the combat phase. Yeah. Jacob, thank you, but we know that it's indestructible. We're saying that
there's time to respond.
But
that's correct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hero's Downfall in response to the
ability.
Yep. Okay.
Brimaz, a little outclassed.
Yeah, Brimaz, for the price tag that card carries, does not look too good in this situation. I love the card in general.
I do too, but
it hasn't found a home yet.
I don't know that it stacks up particularly well in this format where all the 4-drops outclass it.
Mm-hmm.
And
it cannot attack into Cursor or Crewfix profitably. Yeah. You get the token in there, but that's it.
That's
the 1/1 token.
So man, I just don't know. It's a very good Magic card. It just might be kind of in one of those weird limbo states that can occasionally happen with very good Magic cards.
It might not actually ever find a home either. You know, it's not found a home in Legacy. It shows up as a onesie twosie occasionally in Death and Taxes, and it's not really done anything in Modern. So I would imagine that price tag's going to drop eventually.
Yeah, you just feel like it should almost have to. Although there's that black-white tokens deck in Modern that I like quite a bit, that you can get some Brimazes in there.
Yeah. The Brimaz is great on the curve and black-white tokens.
Yeah, and Hero, a Blade Hold. That's a Sorin. I imagine we'll probably be casting the Sorin.
Yeah, I don't see him not casting Sorin. His opponent's tapped out, and he's got the mana to cast a Sorin and just... Now, I would probably just go ahead. I don't even know if I'd make a vampire. Well, I would. Yeah, I'd make a vampire here.
Now, it's worth pointing out the lifelink lasts until the beginning of your next turn, which means he could actually put a token on the sheep and give it lifelink, which would make attacking into it pretty miserable.
Yeah, that'd be a 1/5 sheep.
Yeah.
And Brimaz is not getting through that. And actually, the Brimaz token would just straight up die.
Yeah.
In this case, and Sorin would live through a Brimaz attack. So. Derek's life total is not really in jeopardy, so I think I would, if I was playing Sorin here, I'd probably get a little bit more aggressive with it. You know, go ahead and get the creature on the board.
Absolutely.
Force the removal spell and the Nyx Fleece Ram, and that forces the Brimaz into attacking into the 2/2 vampire. Yep. You know, Derek hasn't lost much at that point. So.
He did plus though.
Yeah.
So he
took I think both of them are very good plays.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks pretty good if you're Derek Dyer here.
Yes.
This is kind of what you want to do. You just assemble the soft lock of a bunch of synergistic planeswalkers. Derek Rodriguez needs, more Heroes Downfalls would not be bad. Is that a bestow? It is. We are bestowing the Herald Torment, which is pretty good here. You can assassinate the planeswalker of your choice.
I think I would go with Sorin here.
Yeah.
You know, Chandra does draw you some cards, but Chandra's not making 2/2 flying.
No, you really can't beat Sorin if he's active for too many more turns. So now Derek needs a removal spell, and then he's still going to mop up the 3/3 flyer that's left behind.
Right.
He gets over at 26 life.
I like Herald Torment here.
I do.
I really like what it did.
There's a ton of 3-drops in Derek Rodriguez's deck, though. We've seen Rabblemaster, Herald, and Brimaz.
So we're stretching the mana base a little thin there with double white, double black, and single red.
Yep.
But, you know, it hasn't seemed to be a problem so far.
I agree. That's a Chandra 0. Reveals Magma Jet, or Magma Spray, I'm sorry. Not super good here.
No, depending on what Derek has in his hand, it might not even be relevant at all.
Yeah.
What's the plus off of a Herald Torment on the Bestow?
3/3.
So it's 3. Okay.
Yeah, they always give their power and toughness.
Okay. So that is a pretty big brain loss.
Yeah.
So that could potentially be actually it is going to be a problem for Derek. He's got to find a way to deal with that effectively.
Yep.
Before it gets out of hand. I think an Utter End would actually do a pretty good job.
Utter End would be pretty good.
It would take care of the Bestow creature, leaving Brema's back to having to fight through a ram.
Yeah, it's a Liliana on a Derek Rodriguez there. Crackling Doom.
Crackling Doom deals with half the problem.
Yep.
It doesn't deal with the flying half the problem, which is going to be an issue for Derek's Planeswalkers.
It is, agreed.
So Utter End would have definitely been a little bit better in that situation, taking care of the underlying problem being the flying.
Yeah. Oh, so, of course, End Hostilities would have been uniquely good there, as it destroys the creature and all permanents attached to it.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. End Hostilities has a little added bonus, even though it's a 5-mana Wrath.
Yep. But it's not.
Occasionally, that 5th mana
buys you something.
Could be worth it.
Now, Liliana could also be quite a problem with tutoring out some additional threats.
Yeah. So what do you think Derek Rodriguez has in his deck that he would be tutoring up at this point? Do you think he's going to find something to deal with Chandra, or do you think he just says, I'm not too concerned about Chandra, I just want to get some more guys on the board? I would think with Derek Dyer being at 27...
Do you really feel like you have to get the Planeswalker off?
He's got to deal with Derek's underlying source of card advantage.
Yeah, I agree. Butcher the Horde I don't hate as a hasty way to get Chandra off the table.
Well, yeah, the haste could be a problem, though, because I don't think he wants to get rid of that Herald Torment.
No, that's true. That's fair. Although it's worth pointing out that currently he's losing a life every turn, and Derek Dyer is gaining one every turn, which is unsustainable.
Very relevant. 2-point life.
And Chandra can start going to the face if he has to.
Does he have a Bloodsoaked Champion in his graveyard?
No, they all got.
Is that? I think that was last game. Is that top card a Bloodsoaked Champion?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. No.
There's a Hero's Downfall for he decides to go after the Liliana, which I agree with. Liliana, if you get to downtick again, is going to find something better than that Herald Torment for sure.
Yes, that's very true.
Reminder die on top of the library.
Herald Torment on Herald Torment.
Yeah. I love it. Got a Whip of Erebos?
I believe it's a Whip of Erebos.
That's going to be a challenge. Utter End is
Whip it.
whipping out a Butcher.
Butcher's going to get some. Butcher's going to get in there for 5. This actually brings this game a little closer in range for Derek Rodriguez.
Absolutely. Now, the Butcher killed Chandra, which we talked about. Something you just have to do at this point. You're too far behind.
Yeah, you can't allow Derek to keep having that.
If Derek was at
that extra
10,
card every turn,
that's one thing. But at 27,
yeah,
you're just not going to end the game fast enough.
And how many cards do we think Derek has in his hand there? It looks like
Derek Dyer,
2?
Just a couple,
Yeah, just a 2.
And without Chandra to draw him an extra one for free.
So, and Derek Rodriguez has that whip now. What else does he have in his graveyard he can use?
Not a lot,
just
actually.
a Brema's, I think.
Yeah.
That's an Elspeth, and that is going to be a bit of a problem.
Make some tokens. Elspeth doing what she did best last format, which was completely dominate decks that are just playing.
Yep.
It's really hard to keep up when Elspeth's making 3 guys every turn.
And the fact that Derek Rodriguez is having to commit so many of his normal resources that he would aim at his opponent's life total towards the Planeswalkers instead is keeping Derek's life total in safe range, so Derek can just kind of just dig for answers.
Just kind of keep jamming stuff out there until something sticks. That's a Rival Master.
Yeah, Rival Master, great magic card. Not necessarily amazing in this situation.
No, but it does have the
He's just he's got to find a way to get that Elspeth off the board. And I don't blame him. Just send everything you have at it.
Yep. The token will of course have lifelink. So, it's picking up at an incidental point of life, which is not completely irrelevant. So let's see. No, even with a full swing out at Elspeth, she does not get removed from play this time.
She'll go down to 2 off the Hall of Torment. Everything else is getting chumped or blocked by the Ram or the tokens.
So yeah, Roadmaster does not have haste. Be good if it did.
Be broken if it did.
Yeah, it's already
maybe not
good.
broken, but yeah, it would definitely.
So let's see. Roadmaster is going to get exiled this turn, which means that Anger of the Gods would clean this situation up very nicely.
Yeah, Anger of the Gods, or even in hostilities, I'd be fine with either one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like Anger of the Gods, of course, because it gets the Rabmaster away from the whip. Just deprives of another whip target.
Yeah.
It's not the best, most explosive whip target, but it is a whip target. So, okay, we're just going to...
Elspeth taking her 3 and going down to 2 loyalty.
Yep.
Elspeth don't care.
Yep. The Planeswalkers that tick up into that 5 range, and there's been a couple of them recently.
Yep. Sarkhan,
Nisa, Ashiok, Elspeth can just really be very hard for the creature decks to remove.
Yep.
There's very few things more disheartening than being in like a fair creature deck that realizes that you've just done everything you could and your opponent's still going to untap with his Planeswalker in play.
And especially a Planeswalker with the power level of Elspeth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not trivial.
So first things first, we're going to be ticking up. Now, without a removal spell, Elspeth dies this turn.
Yeah, so he obviously did not have Anger of the Gods, or he would have played that first.
Yep.
This is where Ether Spouse would be great. Derek's not running blue. As we saw Ether Spouse do some work in a similar situation earlier today. And there's Sarkhan.
I believe we're going to see a Sarkhan minus.
I believe we're going to go to game 3 pretty quickly. I believe it's also 26 to 26.
Yep, because that whip has done a ton of work.
So we're still at least a couple turns away from any lethal damage, but it's looking pretty good for Derek Dyer on the side of the board right now.
I agree.
So if I was Derek Dyer, I wouldn't be sweating this too much.
No, I think I'd minus Sarkhan, kill the flyer, turtle up behind Elspeth for just a couple of turns it's going to take to get her into ultimate range and put this game away.
Yeah, you want to try and save your Elspeth if you can. She just generates too much board presence.
And if you plus Sarkhan, what does he do? He gets in for 4 against an active whip.
Yeah, so he goes from 26 to 22.
I'm not super impressed with that line, so I think that minus is the way to go. Although I guess there is some debate to ticking him up and giving an alternate target where like one of my Planeswalkers gets to untap, but I think if you can save Elspeth, you save Elspeth.
You could also think about the one ability on Sarkhan that everyone seems to kind of disregard is his ultimate.
Absolutely.
Very powerful. Looting every turn is a pretty good place to be.
When your deck is just full of answers.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's where Derek's going to go. I think he made the right play there.
I agree. It's worth considering all the lines when the game has become this convoluted because
you just want to keep your Elspeth.
Well, he's going to get to whip it out. So
I still shoot Elspeth.
Yeah. So it's what is the best line when you know your opponent has whip active? You can still get to attack Elspeth. We're going to see the whip here, but I think this way you do preserve Sarkhan either way, and I'd rather do that than to do 4 damage to the players at 26 life. So.
While I do think that was a good play, I'm still entertaining the idea of just taking it up and going ultimate with Sarkhan.
Sure.
Just I like the idea. Yeah, I mean that's if you're going to find a way to close the game out, it's going to be looting every turn.
No, that's going to be pretty good.
Because either way, what happened here is Elspeth is still dying.
Yep. But this way, the creature will be exiled. So it is like you're answering. It just takes an extra turn.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to see Rabblemaster get blocked and killed.
I'd just like to point out real quick that Nick's Fleece Ram has been on the board since turn 2.
Yeah, it sure has.
So Derek's probably gained upwards of 8 to 10 life off of it by this point in the game.
And also like to point out that every time we've seen Whip on the table, it's been really
The Whip's been
good.
insane, so I guess that'll be the next spec question.
Yeah.
When is it time to go buy 400 Whips?
I traded my playset of foil Whips in rotation. So we Murderous Cut. Is that what that was? I think so. All right, Derek considered triple blocking the Rabble Master, chose not to, and did get punished for taking that line.
Yeah, it's a tough call, but what do you lose? Another token?
Yeah, I think triple blocking would have been correct, and then you can just throw the ram in front of the token if you want to.
Derek's still not in too bad shape here. He's still got an active Sarkin on the board. He's only facing down a Rabble Master.
Yep.
And plus a Whip, and I don't believe he has any Whip targets. Rodriguez has any Whip targets in his graveyard, so kind of just looking at a Rabble Master at this point. If he can produce any kind of card advantage or card draw or anything like that, he's still not in too bad a shape.
Or
there's the Sarkin number 5.
Yep, Zergo. That's a clock.
That is a fast clock. That 33-point life total is not looking too healthy at this point.
Nope. You're chunking it off 11 at a time.
And I spoke to Derek earlier, and he's playing Zergo a little bit last week too, and he said he's won a lot of games off of just having that singleton in his deck.
Sure, I believe that.
Derek Rodriguez has a few turns to respond to this before it gets out of hand.
Sure. Well, Rabble Master will eventually swarm around the Nick's Fleece Ram and be able to put a lot of pressure here. But every turn that you let Derek untap with this situation, you're A, taking a lot of damage, and B, giving him another turn to draw a lot of outs. I mean,
I think this game's one of the situations where, we saw in Matt Farney's deck in round 4 where Whip was just insane because he was milling so many cards. And this is one of the cases where Whip is still a good card.
Yep.
Not doing a whole lot of work right now because his graveyard,
ran out of targets.
He doesn't have the ability to just mill cards into his graveyard and generate that value every single turn.
What's kind of funny is that Nick's Fleece Ram, by blocking Rabble Master every turn, it's just keeping it from getting whipped, right?
Yep.
Although it does not going to take 2 more turns, and the Rabble Master will be big enough to kill the Nick's Fleece Ram. So
Derek kind of needing to find a solution to Rabble Master. Not all that pressing that he finds a solution, but the Rabble Master is eventually going to get and start attacking the Sarkin down.
Yep.
So Derek does need to find an answer to it. But
other end, Anger of the Gods. Those are the 2 big ones. That just get rid of it, keep it from getting whipped back.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to end hostilities here on Derek's side. I don't know that I care about Rabble Master enough to get rid of my own Nick's Fleece Ram, because that Ram has been...
That Ram has been awesome.
We're up to about 12 points of life that thing's gained at this point in the game.
Yeah, for sure. So we get another token. We are attacking for... we're attacking Sarkin.
Yeah, Derek Rodriguez just has to get that Sarkin off the board.
Oh, for sure.
Zergo is an additional problem all by itself, but it's at least a little bit easier to kill from the standpoint.
And doesn't have the option of randomly starting to bolt down your guys.
Yeah.
You let him Sarkin on tap again, he could just kill Rabble Master, at any point after that. All right, Sarkin is down. So all those Planeswalkers that he was turtled up behind have all one by one died.
Still have Zergo on the board.
I don't quite see what's in Dyer's hand. 2 cards. One of them was a land. It's a scry land. I can't. If you're looking at it, it's a spell, right? You don't want another land, so he kept it, which means you got to think it's an answer to Rabble Master. I've just been informed by our operator, Jacob Ross, the talented Jacob Ross, that there are 5 minutes left in the round.
Is it Jacob Ross the talented or Jacob Ross the great? I can't remember. He goes by one of those names, but yeah, we are down to about 5 minutes left in this match, and. It's kind of still of a toss-up as to, who's actually leading this game here. I was going to give the favor to Derek Dyer when he saw the Sarkin on the board.
He looked very good for a little while.
But that Rabble Master is actually just going to start taking his game over unless Derek Dyer can find an answer to it.
Yep, agreed.
Zergo being the problem that it is, Derek Rodriguez is still 14 life.
And here's the thing: at this point, he's actually gaining enough life to negate Zergo.
Yep.
Because of the whip. He actually picked up a point of life this turn over the Zergo attack.
So
we really need a sweeper. We have yet to see a sweeper this game. There's plenty left.
I don't even think have we seen a Bioblight this game.
Nope.
So
we need a sweep effect if you're in the Derek Dyer camp.
Yeah, Derek Rodriguez also could just Bioblight that Zergo right off the board.
Right off the board. We're gonna see something happen here. It's Crackling Doom, which will also get Zergo.
Get rid of Zergo. Zergo is gone. And I thought Derek Dyer was doing really well this game. They're both playing great.
There's Anger of the Gods. That step one.
There we go. So now where we thought Derek Rodriguez was actually making some ground up, we're kind of back to the drawing board. Neither player having much of a hand or a board presence or anything.
Exactly.
Derek Rodriguez still has that whip, so if he can muster up some creatures, even if they die, they're still going to be relevant.
Has to pass back, no threat. Derek Dyer here just looking for any way to close this game. It doesn't matter what it is.
I think Derek Dyer here, if I was Derek Dyer, I think my number 1 top deck at this point would be Empty the Pits. He's got it in his deck, and he's got a graveyard with about,
400.
Yeah. about 10 or so cards in
a mountain.
So
that's a problem with Thoughtseize. It's a very powerful card.
Does he still lose the life on the Thoughtseize even though it whiffed? I saw him mark it down.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I don't think he actually loses that life. I know if Thoughtseize gets countered, you don't lose a life. I'm not sure what happens if it whiffs. I would imagine you still lose the life. Yeah. Okay, that's a good thing to know. Comes up every now and then. I play Thoughtseize a lot in Modern. It doesn't usually whiff in Modern,
right.
So
passes back. Empty the Pits would be a hot one. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, the problem is Derek Rodriguez probably sitting on a Bioblight.
I'm sure he doesn't have anything else to hit with it.
There's a Rabble Master.
Rabble Master.
Now Rabble Master going to be very relevant given the whip still on the board. So there's going to be a good exchange there.
For sure.
Derek Dyer now needing to find an answer. Obviously he didn't have one, or he would have used it pre-combat to keep him off the token.
Yep. Land.
Nomad Outpost. No bueno. Not what he's looking for. Now, if he top decks Empty the Pits, that Nomad Outpost could be relevant.
Honestly, he doesn't have to delve.
There's Rabble Master number 3.
Yep.
That is a problem for Derek Dyer. Derek Dyer needed to desperately draw another answer, another sweeper.
Now, he has a ton of Anger of the Gods in the deck. He has a ton of End Hostilities.
I don't even think End Hostilities is going to get him out of this one. I think he's going to have to draw Anger to keep the whip from actually
being relevant again.
So we're looking at what? That's a 5/2 Rabble Master plus the 3 tokens.
Yep.
So we got a good clock. Derek Rodriguez has assembled a pretty good clock here.
1 minute left in the round. Derek Dyer,
realizing the state of the game, is going to go ahead and pitch the Nyx Fleece Ram to the 5/2 Rabble Master.
Sure.
Can't blame him on that one. Can't blame him on that one. The one life he's going to gain on his next upkeep's not really going to be all that relevant. So
game's not going to last long enough.
There it is.
Off the gods.
Off the top. I believe that was off the top. I can't confirm that, but if it wasn't off the top, he probably would have cast it last turn.
Don't know what we're doing here.
It looks like he wanted to keep the Rabble Master from being exiled, so he can whip it back.
Okay, I understand. Sure.
So he can whip it back next turn and keep that clock going.
Hero's Downfall. You're absolutely right.
Aggressive
use of Hero's Downfall.
Yeah, especially when your opponent's on Planeswalker.deck. I don't know.
Just trying to get this game done.
Yeah, they're down to a minute, so he had to make a call, and whether or not it was the right call, we'll find out.
I think at this point, if you're Derek Rodriguez, you're saying, if we draw this game, I win the match. Gaining the 4 life here or something could be relevant enough to keep Derek Dyer from stealing this game with like a Sarkin in turns.
I think if you're Derek Rodriguez, you just want to top deck 3 Stoke the Flames.
Yeah. I mean,
just get it over with.
Yep.
There's a Chandra. She's going to come in, potentially nuke that token.
I'd be surprised if that's what we didn't see.
He might just go for the card off the top, given the fact that we have just a few minutes left.
Derek Dyer is now in turn 0. I don't think he's got anything in his deck that can end this game in 3 attack steps.
3 attack steps, 25 life. They would have to be empty the pits.
Yeah. Okay, you're absolutely right. Empty the pits in the next turn or two is absolutely an option.
And that's a case where I think I just would have said, you got the 1/1 token. That's fine. Let's just go ahead and draw a card
deeper.
So if it's empty the pits, I can still make like 8 tokens or 10 tokens or whatever. So.
Derek Rodriguez taking turn 1 of turns.
If I was Derek Dyer, I would be using any resource I have to try and find that empty the pits if you left it in the deck.
It's worth pointing out that Derek Dyer has gotten an unintentional draw so that his deck is very grindy.
Yep. It's very grindy. But he still has a good out here, even though we're in turns.
I would say he's playing at a reasonable pace.
If he draws a Read the Bones, he can potentially get to that empty the pits, given the number of cards we've gone through in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're assuming there's one left in the deck after.
Well, Scryland can do it.
Snaps it to the bottom.
Snaps it to the bottom. Now we're going to 0 Chandra. And that is a Magma Spray. All right.
That was it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're on turn 3. Derek's only going to get 1 more attack step, and he's got nothing to attack with. So I believe we have reached an impasse where...
It's very possible he doesn't have any of the pits left in the deck, knowing how many Bile Blights and that kind of stuff that we saw.
Yeah, he very well. Yeah, if you're Derek Rodriguez, I don't even know what the relevance of keeping Bile Blight in your main board is.
Just to mop up Chandra tokens, it's not completely irrelevant, I suppose.
Yeah, the Elspeth tokens is a big deal. But I feel like there's just better things you could be doing with your sideboard and your main deck at that point. But it's still a relevant point. Empty the Pits is just one of those cards where you draw it, and the pace of the game just completely changes. So.
Scryland. Put it on the bottom.
Chandra?
Chandra revealed the Scryland.
Oh, gotcha. Herald of
Crackling Doom.
There we go.
Yep, and that is Derek Rodriguez will win the match 1-0 to N1.
Yeah, given the state of that game at a couple different points throughout the game, that was a surprising turn of events.
I agree.
I thought Derek Dyer...
There was going to be 2 points in the game where I was pretty confident Derek had locked it up.
Gaining about, I don't know, roughly 15 to 20 life off of Nick's Fleece Ram. He went through any number of Planeswalkers, being Sorin, Elspeth, and Sarkin, and just wasn't able to close it out.
And it's really possible that, given infinite amount of time, he would have found Empty the Pits or another Haymaker to end that game, but we don't play infinite amount of time.
That was still a great match, and I got to give it up to both the guys that did a great job, and it was very grindy, and got to see some cool stuff. So.
Yeah, ton of Mardu under the camera, a bunch of different ways to build it, very interesting stuff.
So it looks like we're going to wrap up the standard portion of FNM tonight, and it looks like we're going to go ahead and move on to, I believe, probably the last round of Modern. So we're going to jump right into that as soon as we can, and so stay tuned for some more Modern.
Yeah, we're going to go take a quick break while we get the Modern round set, and we'll be back here in just a minute for a bonus round.
Stay
Thanks
tuned.
for sticking with us, guys. Bonus round. We have the final round of Modern. This is round 4 of 4 tonight from Epic Loot in sunny Centerville, Ohio.
Just wrapped up a 46-player standard, 5-round standard tournament. So we're getting our last round of Modern in here. They run Modern concurrently at Epic Loot starting at 9 o'clock. Gives a couple of standard players that didn't do so well in the standard event a chance to drop from standard and enter Modern.
We have on camera for you here Adam Minier, also a founding member of the original Dayton Magic Club over at Wright State University, years and years and years, very active in the scene and the community. He's played on a couple of pro tours. He's played really at a pretty high level for a pretty long time. Just, local grinder here out of the Dayton area.
Very good Magic player.
Alex Roach, I don't know as well.
No, I'm not familiar with Alex Roach, but I would imagine if he's 3-0 in a Modern event, he's
in a fairly competitive room
numbers,
here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, really curious to see what these guys are on. Adam Minier has been talking about a deck. I don't know if he had it finished in time for the tournament tonight.
I'm not sure. I know Adam Manier's been on ferries for a while. I know he's played that relatively recently, actually, in the last couple events. He's been talking about building a Death and Taxes deck in Modern, but I'm just going to go ahead and call it. Based on the blue sleeves, I'm just going to call ferries.
All right, fair enough.
We'll know from the first land that he plays. There's no confusion between whether or not you're playing Death and Taxes or ferries when you drop that first land.
Yep. What do we see in Alex Roach's hand? Anything?
I think I see Tarmogoyfs.
Okay.
I could be. Those cards in the middle there kind of look like Goyfs. I could be wrong. I could be way wrong. It's a little hard to tell.
Oh, I don't know if you guys can still hear us. Looks like we lost the camera for a minute. Our operator, Jacob Ross, is doing what he can.
Jacob the Great.
I am confident that he will get us back up and running. In the meantime...
Is it Jacob the Great or Jacob the Incredible?
Jacob the truly unbelievable. So we'll get this camera dialed in here for you guys.
I believe we might have saw a mulligan there from Adam. And that is the case. Adam went ahead and went down to 6 cards. Looks like Adam is actually neither on Fairies nor Death and Taxes, but he's on Burn. So we've seen Adam play Burn quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. He is
he's very, very big on very big mono red player.
Yeah,
very
noted red player. Has played Burn and various iterations of various Stompy shells. The accelerated red.
So when I called the blue sleeves earlier, saying he was playing Fairies, just goes to the notion of don't judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely.
Adam is practicing the art of subterfuge here.
The correct thing here is not quite.
You gotta like the mono red deck in blue sleeves, though.
I'm a big fan.
You can't go wrong with it.
I am a big fan.
And as long as he's got a land, he's gonna keep that one. So I believe the first 2 mulligans were just 0 lands.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate in a burn deck, because a burn deck is one of those decks that needs to have that critical mass of cards to assemble the 21 damage it needs to finish the game.
Absolutely, it's very reasonable to look at burn as, in fact, a
combo deck. Yep. And given the fact that Adam's on the play, meaning he is just stuck with those 5 cards, he's not going to get the draw step. Which
coming in this match from behind a little bit.
It could prove to be a problem as he's trying to, get the 20 damage in there. So he's going to lead it off with Monastery Swift Spear.
Which I like. I've been playing it in my Modern Burn deck a little bit, and I'm a big fan.
Goblin Guides 5 through 8. Potentially better, not as good on turn 1.
Yeah.
Stirrings from Alex Roach, and
that is putting him pretty firmly on a Tron variant of some sort.
I am actually going to say, given the fact that he led off with Breeding Pool, he could be on Amulet of Vigor.
Oh, a very good point, yes.
But given the number of blue spells I see in his hand, it's actually a little hard to call at this point. A lot of blue spells with Ancient Stirrings. Amulet of Vigor is what I'd want to say, but I don't think that's right, just given the number of blue spells I see in his hand.
Okay. Well, could be something sweet. We'll find out pretty soon here. I imagine it'll shape up.
And we have Ancient Stirrings number 2 from Alex. Adam Neer's got double Swift Spear on board. He just needs to follow that up with a couple burn spells. And he's actually got a decent clock on his hand.
Off and running.
Alex Roach already at 15, taking a couple damage off of his own Breeding Pool.
Yep.
Not the greatest place to be against the burn deck.
Not against the double Swift Spear start, which very rapidly can become better than the wisely feared double goblin guides.
So we see an expedition map, so he's definitely on a Tron build of some sort.
Okay.
Given the number of blue cards in his hand, it doesn't look like it's going to be your traditional red-green Tron list. Typically the Tron builds you see are either mono blue or blue white.
Yep.
Given the breeding pools, he's probably on a Simic Tron of some sort.
Yeah. All right. I'm curious as to what you get. Like what's your incentive there?
By running blue and
Yeah.
green, that's Tarmogoyf.
Sure. Sure. Tooth and nail.
One of the things you could do now that we have a newer format with modern, not newer format, I want to say a
format has changed a little bit.
Tron is one of those decks that just runs a ton of cantrips early in the game to kind of try and assemble its end game. You could potentially see, Dig Through Time or Treasure Cruise in a Tron list. That's not too far-fetched.
No, that's actually a really good point.
If you take a traditional red-green Tron list that just rifles through, 6, 7 cards the first few turns of the game trying to set up his Tron lands. Now, granted, we've got 3 lands on the board from Alex, and we haven't seen a Tron land at this point.
That's true.
So we could still potentially just not even know what he's on.
That's a good point.
There's still a lot of unknowns in Alex's opening several cards.
Yeah. He is, however, under an enormous amount of pressure.
Yeah, from Adam's 5-card hand, he's at 1 life already.
Very likely to just be dead.
Yeah, this game could be over before we got started, even though Adam was on the play with a 5-card hand, 1 land, and the double Swift Spear and a couple burn spells is all it takes. There's our first Tron land from Alex.
Okay. That starts to clear things up a little bit. Although burn in Modern is certainly a less powerful deck than its legacy cousin. They're very similarly constructed, but you lose cards like Fire Blast and Price of Progress. I certainly think it's better positioned in Modern than it is in Legacy. There are no turn 1 combo decks to have to fight through.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to go ahead and go to game 2.
All right.
So Adam putting up a very strong start there, given the fact that he multi-5, kept 1 land with a couple creatures. It was still able to assemble 20 damage out of those creatures.
Absolutely.
Just with a couple Lava Spikes.
Swift Spear is a very real card.
Yeah, especially double Swift Spear with a
couple of
Lava Spike. 2 Swift Spears and a Lava Spike is 7 damage.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
And then when you have Alex, shocking himself 1 or 2 times off of his own shock lands.
Yep. And then just really not interacting.
Yeah. He spent that's one of the things that Tron does, and I would typically say that Burn is a bad matchup for Tron because Tron really doesn't do anything turns 1 through 3.
Yep.
Occasionally you'll get the perfect Tron hand in the red and green list, anyways, where you go, turn 1 Expedition map, turn 2 your 2nd Tron land, crack map, get your 3rd Tron land, turn 3 Karn.
Right.
Or in this case, a Worm Coil engine, which would have been magnificent.
Yep.
Was not the case.